You ever watch a video that just makes you feel nostalgic? It feels like you transport back in time. That's what happened to me today. It felt like Jimmy Neutron had built a time travel device that took me back to the most embarrassing era of my life. My first year and a half of college. This was the real goofy goober era of my life where I tried to emulate a mysterious anime character and was just genuinely creepy and uncomfortable to be around. I have no doubt my fellow peers were reporting me to the student body as just someone to be aware of as a potential threat. It was scary. Like, it was such a bad idea. I was built on awful Reddit advice and delusion of anime characters. I thought it'd be a good idea. I've talked about it at length before. And today I watched a video that served as a reminder of my shame. And this had to do with the couple of times I went to parties, which I've talked about a little bit. During this period, I did try and socialize to the best of my ability, and I'd argue I was the life of parties when I went out. And by that I mean I made people scared for their lives when I went out to parties. Let me show you a little clip of the video and then dive deep into what I mean. Yeah, so this lady's really busting it wide open on the dance floor here of this local dive bar. She's just going hog wild. I don't know if it's drug related or just the spirit of music has taken over, but she is transformed into the demon of dance. Her eyes are like glossed over, and thanks to the camera, they're like glow in the dark, so it's really intense. And she's throwing out all kinds of advanced maneuvers right there. That's like a million dance moves in 10 seconds. It's like she's trying to go for a high score combo in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 here. But what it reminded me of is how I used to act at like bars and parties back in the early college days, because there was a couple bars near our campus that didn't ID check, so we would go there and I'd try and do shit like this because I thought by trying to be the center of attention, it would be good in helping me get laid. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. But I'd go fucking wild. I'd start popping and locking. It was like I was doing Wing Chun on invisible enemies, because I didn't really know how to dance super well, but I kept trying. I'd hit like sloppy body waves and shit. And I made a video a while ago talking about how I tried to learn to breakdance to impress girls. So, I'd drop to the floor and hit them with like the 6-step shuffle or whatever. And of course, you know me, I'm famous for the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse dance hot dog. But I'd drop to the floor and just like get after it. Like this. Give them some of that shit. It's just, yep. A little out of breath already. It's been a while since I busted that bad boy out. But yeah, I'd just fucking serve it out on the dance floor there, and no one stopped me. Like my friends that I'd go with, and they never told me it was a bad idea, because I think they just liked laughing at it. So I'd spend like an hour doing this shit on the dance floor, looking like I was on bath salts, and I never learned my lesson. So when I saw this video today, seeing her go after it like this, I was like, damn, it's like looking in a mirror 8 years ago. Watching her dance is like watching a dog with the zoomies, where they just start like running in circles and going crazy. I mean, hats off to her. Like, the confidence to do this and really just go wild at it, I think is fantastic. I always enjoyed doing it back in college, even though I know it made me look very odd to most people, but I still did find it to be enjoyable at the very least. But goddamn, the people next to her are gonna be leaving this bar with scars. The way she's whipping her hair like that shit is an actual weapon. That's some like actual Bayonetta shit, using her hair for offensive attacks. This right here is my favorite moment in the routine. I definitely think this would win, so you think you can dance. She hits him with like the praying mantis up here, and then into like a T-Rex arm combo. It's very rare you see a move like that executed so fluidly. So I thought she did a wonderful job there, and I really think it just helped put a nice bow on the entire choreography here. Unfortunately, that's where the video ends, but I'm sure the dancing continued for a couple hours there. She was definitely just getting started. This was only Act 1 of the performance. I think it's great all around. It seemed like she was having a good time. The people around her also seemed to enjoy the show. And I just wanted to talk about it because it reminded me of a silly time during my college days that I thought would be fun to share. That's really about it. I still think I'm one of the best dancers on the East Coast. And yeah, see ya. Welcome to another riveting story time from my compendium of social ineptitude. Today's story takes place during high school when I thought breakdancing was the dopest shit. I used to think breakdancers were society's alpha males that couldn't walk 5 steps in public without falling penis first into a consenting vagina. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to learn to be a b-boy, an ultimate breakdancing Chad, to impress girls. Keep in mind, this was about a decade ago, so there was movies coming out that focused on breakdancing and how cool it was. The one that had the biggest impact on me was called You Got Served. That movie was like my Eye of the Tiger. I would throw that shit on religiously to get myself pumped up and motivated, start pumping testosterone into my dick like, yeah, alright, I'll start serving people soon, I can do this. So I'd watch a shitload of shitty expert village tutorials on breakdancing till I got to a point where I was like, I'm confident, I can do this in front of people now and it'll be really cool. Spoiler alert, I was never actually good at it and it was never cool, but that didn't stop me. Every single school dance function from probably freshman year of high school to senior year of high school, I would be that fucking sociopath on the dance floor during the first song, busting it wide open. You know, like at all the dances like homecoming and shit, the first song nobody's on the dance floor because it's not cool? Well, I'd fucking cherish that moment. I would charge that dance floor like a football team storming the stadium field. I was all about that first song life. And this was during the time where the jerk was popular. Well, not really, it was kind of on its way out anyway, but I was still trying to hold on to that glory of the jerk. So I had this little routine that I would do at every dance function, every single fucking one of them. And unfortunately, I still remember kind of the beginning of it, so I'm going to give you a little sneak preview of what it looked like. Breakdancing. I know, ladies, just leave your sodden panties in the dirty clothes and wash them later. What you just saw right there, what you just bore witness to, was a body wave into a 6-step combination, a little groundwork that I tossed in there for flair, then the jerk tacked on at the end. A combination move only fit for the most elite b-boy gods out there. Now at the time, this was 10 years ago, I was far more limber so I could go from the kneeling position to the standing position without fucking blowing up my meniscus. Now is a different story, I can't exactly do it as well as I did back then, but in a nutshell, that's kind of what it looked like back then too, honestly. And let me tell you, it wasn't cool. I don't think that routine I came up with will ever be cool. If I'm wrong, please, some b-boys out there, make it better and send it to me. I'd love to see how that could possibly be improved, because in my eyes, that's as good as breakdancing gets. And they didn't appreciate it. So my high school just didn't really have a taste for the finer breakdancing things, because no girls ever thought that was cool, surprisingly. And let's fast forward, so I do that at all the dances. It never really got me anywhere or anything, and I never changed the routine. That was about the extent of it. That was my breakdancing prowess on full display. That was me sailing at full mast, full erection, red alert, and nobody gave a shit. It wasn't cool to them, and it clearly just objectively is not a very good routine. But let's fast forward to senior year. I'm still doing that routine, and I finally worked up the courage to ask a girl for her number, and she humored me by actually giving it to me. She was clearly not interested, but that didn't stop good old b-boy Charlie from trying. So in order to try and get her genuinely interested in at least like kissing me on the cheek or asking me to tie her shoes or something romantic like that, I would send her videos of me doing routines like that. But I didn't have any friends to videotape that because no one was that close to me. In fact, I don't think any of my friends would do that now because it's just embarrassing. So what I would do is I would have my dad take videos of me doing breakdancing like you just saw, except by senior year I was a little bit better. So I was able to do like kind of head spins. I couldn't do like a head spin without supporting myself with my hands. So I could kind of just like walk my head around very slowly. And I would have my dad videotape that. It'd be like a 2-minute video of me just walking my head around slowly like that on the floor. And I would send her that. And she was such a fucking sweetheart. She would send me things like, "That's so cool," or "Rad." Just, man, it was pathetic. Genuinely pathetic. So, I'd continue to do this. And then she stopped replying. That's how that story ends. So, in a nutshell, I still think, power moves and breakdancing are cool as shit. I can't do them. My body just wasn't made for that type of activity. But I respect the men who can, and I still think that's cool. But the lesson here is, if you're not good at breakdancing, don't try. Don't use it to impress people. Definitely don't do it at parties or at bars or at school dance functions or anything. Just keep it to yourself. And definitely don't have your father videotape them, because that's equally as embarrassing. And trust me, I wasn't shy about telling her who videotaped that. I said, look at what my dad just filmed me doing, like it was some type of candid photo shoot or shot. So, the lesson here, just, don't be a fucking idiot, I guess. There's really no lesson here. I don't think there's a lot of people out there that are trying to breakdance to impress girls in 2018. Now it's all about your Fortnite wins. But even if there is still that splinter cell of dudes out there that are blood, sweat, and tears pouring cum into the breakdance art, make sure you're really good at it before you show anyone that shit. Trust me. It'll save you a lot of embarrassment. See ya.
What's up, everybody? It's Critical. Last night I had a dream that I joined this tribe. It was a tribe of people that were very upset with the way YouTube was handling their website, so they moved out to an island or some shit. And I joined their tribe for whatever reason. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I also don't really like the way YouTube's been handling their shit, so I guess the next logical step would be to join a tribe that just isolates themselves on an island because of it. But anyway, in the dream, I joined this tribe, and we all wore masks. I don't remember too much else of the dream, but the most important part of why I just told you this is that mask thing. Because when I woke up this morning, it reminded me of a mask I made in my junior year of college. And there's a pretty interesting story attached to that mask I made, so I figured since I haven't told a story in a while, I'll go ahead and tell this one. So it was junior year of college, and I was in a class called Dance World Cultures. It's exactly how it sounds. It was just dancing, just in different cultures, and we would study it and write essays on it. One of our last projects was to make a mask out of paper mache. And I'm not a very artistic person, so the mask I ended up making looked like fucking diarrhea smegma. It basically looked like the shadow of the Japanese superhero Ultraman. It was a black mask with like a red line and star going across the eyes. It was as if a 6-year-old was tasked with making some type of cyborg ninja. Anyway, the mask was horrible, and we had to come up with a story attached to this mask, and it had to revolve around dancing. I couldn't think of a happy story for this fuck pile of a mask, so I came up with probably the darkest and saddest story I could think of for something so simple. Basically, the gist of it was, this mask belonged to an ancient tribe that used it as a purifying tool, but it was really painful, so the village elder would put the mask on someone who they thought was dirty, or if the person thought they themselves were dirty with sin, and they would put on the mask and it'd be very painful, but it would cleanse them of their sins and bring them closer to God, and the longer they kept it on, the closer they would get to God and the cleaner they were. And over time, this became an obsession for the tribe's people. They would start putting on the masks for so long it would kill them, and this just continued until the tribe went extinct in their quest to become closer to God. And then, it turns out the mask was never meant to purify souls. It was simply just meant to bring about death and despair. So, not a bad concept, really. I thought it was kind of clever. I thought the teacher would at least see I tried something different here. I know it's like some type of edgy, shitty manga that someone made on a fan fiction website, but it was something I came up with quickly. I did it last minute, and I didn't think it was that bad. So I'm going to class liking the smell of my own farts, pretty confident that this paper will get me an A, because I've always done pretty well at writing assignments for classes. I knew the actual mask portion would bring me down because it looked like some type of dog shit you'd find in a Party City aisle, but regardless, I thought the story would at least carry it to a decent grade. What I didn't realize, though, is when we got to class, the teacher informed us we would be reading these stories out loud, and I immediately knew this was a fucking recipe for disaster. So everyone else had these really nice-looking masks, and they had these really happy story attached to them. "Ah, this was the mask worn by the fairy king of Udall Toodle Town. Ah, it's beautiful. This mask was worn by all the best dancers in the city. It would make them fly, and they'd never feel anything but happiness." And then it came around to my turn, and I just took a deep breath and I just braced myself for this train wreck that was about to happen. So I read my story. It's 2 pages, which was the minimum length, So I just started reading it like I'm reading to a fucking elementary school class, and by the time I finish, the only word that's said is by my friend who was in the class, who just said, "Wow." There was no clapping, no round of applause, no ass cheeks clapping together. There was just no noise. It was pretty much pure silence except for my friend saying, "Wow." What was supposed to happen was a brief discussion and people asking questions about the story, but no one did any of that. No one asked any questions. They probably thought I was just some type of fucking lunatic who was one bad day away from self-immolation. Not even the teacher pitied me with some easy questions like, "What made you do that?" or anything. She just said, "I appreciate you doing something a little different," and then went on to the next person's story. I still managed to get an A on the assignment overall, but I can't help but feel that that A was given to me out of fear that if I didn't get a good grade on this assignment, who knows what would happen. I mean, I came up with a really shitty Stephen King dark story for a very simple, dumb-looking mask. What else could this loose cannon be capable of if I don't give him a good grade? But yeah, I was embarrassed in front of the whole class. Still don't think it was that bad of a story, and I still have the mask somewhere. I'll try and find it one of these days. But yep, that's it. See ya.